back to my channel, guys. Today we're going to be looking at a story of a woman that claims skinny people can't buy oversized clothing, and she gets pretty upset about it, ends up like taking out her comments and everything from her TikTok. But before we get into that, really quick, if you could like and subscribe, it would mean the world to me. And yeah, the algorithm gods love it. So now let's get into the actual story. This woman here is Mighty Murphin Fashion, Mighty Murphin Fash. I love the name, can't complain. She is known for complaining, though, about clothes sizes online, and I swear that's all she does. I've seen her stuff before, and it's all the same thing over and over and over again. But today, she's complaining about Old Navy. Well, she's actually complaining about a group of girls that wanted to buy a fleece sweater that they sell at Old Navy. But I want to show you the original video first because Mighty Murph is good at cutting the videos, so there's like zero context and she just like talks over it. So this is the original video, and then we will get into Murphy's stuff.
We are at Old Navy right now looking for those like viral fleece like turtleneck things. But we live in a college town, so they're probably not gonna be here. Abby's never seen them, so she doesn't know what I'm talking about, but we're gonna look. I'm gonna let you know if we find them. Okay guys, we found them. I can't tell if they look that cute or not, but they have like the blue, cream. They have one of the reds, black and pink. Everyone gets like the extra large, or no, they get like 3X, I think.
See, they don't have any of that size, so.
Okay, we're gonna keep looking. So they only had small and medium, so that was kind of a fail, but we'll let you guys know if we see them again.
That's the video that those girls made to start this whole fiasco. They didn't even buy the sweater, by the way. There were none there to buy. So just, keep that in mind when she's talking about, these girls.
So these two girls go into Old Navy looking for their fleece that is pretty popular during the winter months. And they say, oh, everybody always gets a size 3X, I think. And arguably, you can see by the size of these girls, they probably wear like a small or a medium. And I was actually happy to see that people were calling this out in the comments. There were a lot of people being like, why would you need a size 3X? But let me go into why this is not okay. We're going to start with the statistics first. Statistically, 70% of US women are a size 16, 18, or over.
So she's just jealous that she doesn't fit in those sizes, I think. She is like trying to make it their problem that she's like 400 plus pounds. And she says that 70% of women are 16 to 18, which might be true. I don't know, but that has nothing to do with anything really. She just loves to bring that statistic up like it applies to her, but it doesn't. She's a few sizes larger than that, which I would guess is 23, 24, 26, 28, something like that, which I'm not bashing anyone that's that size. I just think it's silly to criticize a girl for being skinny, and she can't criticize you for being fat.
So most of US women are plus size, but plus size people only get 20% of the apparel market, which means that 80% of the apparel market is geared towards 30% of the population.
How does that even make sense? So companies hate fat people so much that they only want money from the skinny girls? Like, you have to be skinny legend to shop in the store in general? That is exactly not true. So there are plus size sections at pretty much every major retailer. There are whole stores for plus size, like Torrid, and I know they're closing. I'm going to do a video on Torrid hopefully soon, so if you like it, keep an eye out for that. But this statistic is just pulled out of thin air, I swear. She like blacks out and just starts making stuff up.
And then when people like myself push for size inclusivity and ask for brands to carry our size in store, we are often told that not everything has to be for everyone and you should just change your body and blah, 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 blah. But then I see videos like this where people who could get their size or literally just size up to a large to get an oversized look are specifically looking to take a 3X, which they often either don't carry in store and only carry online, or they'll carry like one or two of those in store and take it from someone who needs that size. So my question to you is this. Why are our clothes okay to exist in order for a small person to get a super oversized look, but our clothes are not okay to exist to put clothing on our bodies? And the answer is fat phobia. If you don't have a problem with that video, you should. And if you don't, you just hate fat people.
She is so bossy for someone that hates being told what to do. There are people that comment on her videos telling her she needs to lose weight, and it's hateful, but she can do it to skinny people and it's okay because it's justified because she's fat. I don't understand. But so she goes on to say these girls should have just bought the size up for that look. Like just one size up, I guess. I don't know why she cares so much what people buy with their money, but maybe they wanted it super oversized. Maybe the fabric shrinks and they didn't want to wash it and lose the fit. It doesn't really matter why they wanted to buy a 3X, you know? Like, no one should ever care this much about two skinny girls or two girls buying a shirt. But she did, so she got backlash for it, and she ended up making a follow-up video.
So I'm just going to be honest. This is the problem. Because on one hand, you want to say, oh, I don't specifically look for oversized items. I just take the plus size items that are available because you prefer an oversized fit, knowing how scarce plus size items are. And when I say, okay, well, do you help push for size inclusivity then? Because again, part of the issue is that 70% of US women are plus size and we only get 20% of the fashion market. So if people who aren't even plus size are taking what's there, which is not enough for everybody, you're making the situation worse. Your response is, yeah, I'm not going to do that. This is why the response of, oh, well, it's an industry problem. It's not a consumer problem. It's not a consumer problem. We should be allowed to buy whatever we want, does not fucking hold up. Because you want to contribute to the problem, but you don't want to actively progress society to fix the problem. You just want to make it worse for fat people because you only care about yourself. Just say you hate fat people. Like literally, I would respect all of you more if you just admitted it. And I'm trying to respond to people, but TikTok is literally hiding my responses right now, so that's why you're getting a video. So I'm just going to be honest. This is the problem. Because on one hand, you want to say, oh,
Okay, part of helping push the issue is buying the plus sizes. The more that those clothes leave the shelves, the more that that's telling the company that they need to put them on the shelves. I see medium and larges and extra larges all the time because that's what most people buy. The smalls and extra smalls are always sold in the clearance section at the end of the seasons for most places in the world, I would think, but my store at least, they they don't put a lot of extra smalls or smalls even on the shelf because 90% of the time those 5 that they're putting on the shelf don't get sold. But like no store is going to overstock with stuff that's not going to end up making them any money. So it is a supply and demand issue. It's just basic stuff right here. If more people want it, then the stores will make it available for you happily too, because they just want to make money. That's literally all they care about. They don't care that you're in the plus sizes. They don't care that you're fat or skinny or whatever. Some brands care, but stores like Old Navy, sorry, they don't care. They sell very plus size clothes. It's just online because no one in the store is buying them. No one is going to the store to buy them. If they were, they would stock it. She makes no sense to me. Like, she just talks and somehow it always comes back around to you just hate fat people. You never actually respond to anything really at all, but especially this. You're not even responding to this. She says this commenter is the problem because she claims to not look for oversized items, but takes them if they're available. Like, what is that? I don't even know what that means, really. But that has nothing to do with the comment. The comment said she will buy a plus size if it fits better than her size. The commenter is saying that she buys whatever size makes her feel good in the item that she's buying. If she buys a small typically and the small is too tight, she's going to buy a medium or a large or whatever. I just like Mighty Murph also wears oversized clothes, it seems. So, like, even in this video, her shirt is oversized. So, like, I don't know what she's on about. Is she not buying the proper size and taking them from even larger people? Like, how dare you, girl? How dare you take clothes from them? They don't got a lot. Also, I've never heard of TikTok hiding comments on your own page. So, if anyone could tell me if that's a real thing, that would be super cool because I don't know if it is. But she wasn't done with this thought because she goes on to make another video on the same subject, responding to another comment.
If you don't work specifically in plus size retail, you don't actually know how supply and demand in the plus size retail space works. And we're going to go into some reasons why it looks different than straight size. Because I see this all the time when people are like, oh, well, if straight size people are buying plus sizes, it'll increase supply and demand. Again, the demand is already there. 70% of US women are plus size. It is not like the demand is not in existence already. And plus size fashion is a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's not the problem. And again, in real time, I saw a 9X sell out because people wanted to order the biggest size from a company who sells a 9X on Amazon called King Size. And when they restocked it after like a week of being sold out, they doubled the price. And yes, I'm aware that you can't always go by the AI overview in Google, but this actually does lay out a lot of the reasons pretty accurately. Inventory management challenges, profitability concerns, and historical marketing strategies. This is one of the biggest issues that I know about when they pre-pack things from wholesalers. So they might only have, one XL, one 2X, one 3X, but they have, 8 mediums, 10 smalls. That's how wholesalers sell things. So in order for you to get multiples of a 3X, they have to buy potentially, 50 smalls, 50 mediums. And places aren't necessarily going to do that if the demand for those aren't there either. It just doesn't make sense for them to stock a bunch of inventory to get a few 3Xs. Like, it's a whole system issue. And I have seen people mention that they've seen like 3Xs not sell. That has not been my experience ever. But what would work is redistributing them to stores where they are sold out, and typically we don't see that happen. Perceived low demand. This is also something that gets talked about a lot. People just see them as like not selling, not fashionable, focusing on the smaller sizes because, they think that plus size people don't deserve anything, which is often happening in my comments and still is. They think that smaller people deserve the plus size clothing just because they want the oversized fit, rather than plus size people actually deserving a basic human need. There is a cost related to, expanding into plus sizes because you have to have plus size fit models, plus size patterns. It is not just, oh, there's so much extra fabric. That's not how it works. But there is cost associated with that, and a lot of brands just don't want to take that extra cost on. There is a slightly different profit margin as well, and some brands are just like, no, we want to keep our extra $3 a shirt that we make. A lot of brands don't carry plus sizes, especially in store, because they don't want fat people associated with their image. And brands have tried plus sizes in the past. They haven't been successful, whether that's due to their marketing strategy, whether that's due to their styles, price point, a variety of different things. And so then they're just like, oh, they didn't sell. There must be no demand for them. But rather than you listening to a fat person talk about an issue that they've had to deal with their entire life, you guys think that you know more than we do.
So, plus size retail is retail. How would supply and demand be any different if it's the same market? Brings up the 70% of people being plus size, which could be true, but not her size. Like 60% of that are 14 to 18, let's say. I'm sure that's probably where it lies, like 12 to 18. I'm not exactly sure what is considered plus size. I know I'm plus size. I wear size 14. I think it's a 14 that starts it. Could be a 12. Doesn't matter. I hate that she claims that you have to be plus size to understand what she's talking about, but if 70% of people are plus size, that means most of the people watching and commenting are going to be plus size. Most of the people that watch her and most of the people commenting are going to be a plus size. But she goes on and on about how supply and demand works differently and then says it's a different world. In the plus size world, I don't know. I don't know how wholesale works entirely. Is she right that if you buy one size, you have to buy a bunch of another size? I'm not exactly sure, but even if it did work like that, that wouldn't stop stores from buying the plus sizes if they're selling. Cause so like say the smalls don't sell well at all, like she is saying, but plus sizes do, and the company would be able to upcharge you for the size difference in the clothes that are already overpriced. So the profit they would make would cover the loss of the smalls not selling well, I think. And they will clearance them out and at least get their money back in some sort of way or donate them and get a tax break or something. So, like, somehow I feel like it would be worth it if the plus size were truly selling out, like she's saying, like, if plus sizes were selling out so fast and they were restocking them, I think that the small amount of profit they would lose by having to buy a set of small shirts and then donate them later, I still think they would make their money. They would still make a huge profit, I think. But she said a 9X, and what is a size 9X in numbers? Did I I don't even know. Is that real? Is a 9X real? I can't imagine too many people really needing a 9X. Anyway, she claims to have gotten a lot of backlash from those videos that she made. So she made another response video.
For the first time since posting on the internet for almost 10 years, I had to limit my comments, limit the reuse of my content, turn off downloads, all of that, because I said that plus size clothing is only produced as 20% of the fashion market. And if people want to buy our clothing as an oversized look, maybe they should help us fight for inclusivity. That was the polarizing statement that I made. That was the statement that had people calling me slurs, that had not only fat phobia running rampant in my comment section, but also homophobia.
The slurs and stuff I don't think is necessary, but I also don't think that happened at all. If it did, she would have showed it or said the exact thing someone said. But plot twist, if you guys haven't guessed yet, she lies like all the time. Allegedly, she lies all the time.
Solely based off of my haircut, apparently. There's a couple things that I do want to address, though. And no, I am not turning comments on for a little bit because that was a lot. I have only had to turn comments off of maybe like 4 or 5 videos.
She says in the beginning that this is the first time in 10 years that she's ever turned off her comments, but then she just said she has done it like 4 or 5 times. Like, she doesn't even think before she talks. She just talks and then gets herself wrapped up in lies. Oh my gosh, imagine that. Anyways.
Videos ever in almost 10 years. So that's how that's going. And people are also taking to other forms of social media to just tell me how mad they are that I shut off their access to commenting. 1. Let's define what a marginalized community is. Because I see a lot of people saying plus size people are not marginalized because they can choose to lose weight. It being a permanent factor is not actually a definition of what a marginalized community is. A marginalized community is a group of people who are systemically discriminated against and at a disadvantage. It does not mean that that disadvantage or discrimination is permanent. The unhoused community is another marginalized group. Are you telling me that that is not considered marginalized because at some point they could become housed? And so like that doesn't count because it can change?
Is it like genuinely I'm asking a bad word to say homeless now? I would actually like to know if that's like not an okay word to say on YouTube or something. But anyways, let's go into what she's talking about. She is comparing being fat to being unhoused. So here is my thought on that, I guess. Let's see if I can communicate it. The unhoused community, as you like to call it, is marginalized while they're without shelter because they aren't the majority. And that's kind of like what marginalized people are. So once they get back on their feet and they are in a home and doing better for themselves, they're no longer part of the marginalized group. Correct. So that would mean that if you lost weight, you would no longer be in the marginalized group of being fat. But the research that she's presented saying that 70% of women are plus size means that you're not in the or you are the majority. So you're not marginalized. You cannot be both. As far as I understand it, you can't be discriminated for being fat once you lose the weight either. Just like if you were without a home and then you get a home, you can no longer be like discriminated against for being unhoused. I don't know if being overweight is a marginalized group for sure. I'm gonna guess no. I could see them getting less in life and getting awful health care because I'm only a size 14. I weigh like 190 pounds. And every single time I go to the doctor for anything, not anything, but like anxiety and stuff like that, she tells me to lose 30 pounds. So I could see if I were any bigger that I would get awful health care. I'm not saying that you can't be marginalized. Not marginalized, but discriminated against in that kind of sense. But you can't be marginalized if you are the majority. So I do see the side of the argument with the healthcare and stuff. But I also think that if you needed to lose weight, if I needed to lose weight for my health and no one would listen to me until I did, I would. I currently am doing that. I've already lost 30 pounds to get here, and now I have to lose another 30 pounds. But working on it, I would do that though. I feel bad for the people that aren't taken seriously at the doctors, but ultimately it's up to us. If you don't get that diagnosis because your doctor won't do it, go see another doctor. Go see another doctor until a doctor will take you seriously. And if no doctors take you seriously, then you need to start losing the weight. If you truly want the diagnosis, because I feel so bad for people that I've seen have like cancer diagnoses and they haven't gotten that because, or they didn't get it on time because they were overweight. But a lot of medical equipment doesn't really work for bigger people. So it is hard to get that diagnosis. I see it from both sides. But if you really think something's wrong, you will keep fighting and going to doctors until you can find out, or you will lose the weight, or both. You keep continuing to go to the doctor while you're working on your weight, and you find a doctor that can help you. That's all I don't know. Maybe I went off on a tangent, but that's that. Let's play the rest of the video and find out what else she says.
That's literally not part of the definition if it's changeable. It is how society treats you and stigmatizes you, and how people think it's socially acceptable to blame you for your circumstances. I'm also going to point you to this NIH study, Obesity Stigma, Important Considerations for Public Health. Again, peer-reviewed research, since everyone thinks that they're smarter than the research that I present. Common perceptions are that weight stigma is justifiable and may motivate individuals to adopt healthier behaviors. Recent estimates suggest that the prevalence of weight discrimination has increased by 66% over the past decade. Less access to clothing, which is a basic human need, less access to healthcare because of weight stigma. We make less money than our thin counterparts. There is a statistic out there on it. less promotions. We are allowed to get fired because we're not seen as a protected class. It literally meets the definition of a marginalized group. And the fact that you all will fight so hard against it to talk shit on our community in my comments, you're proving my point that it is socially acceptable. And I'm going to link a video below where I talked about how fat phobia is heavily tied to the alt-right pipeline. And I could not find better examples than those comments that I received because they were so heavily tied to homophobia as well. It's so funny to me that you guys are literally proving the points for me and not even realizing it.
You can find research for whatever outlook you have in life, pretty much. It's called biased research, and most of the time it means absolutely nothing. And also, her tone bothers me. It like actually gets under my skin a little bit. But let's just talk about what she's talking about, and that's less access to clothing. So the less access to clothing thing is kind of crazy to me because that's all I see in my area, smalls and like 3X and up. And they're always wearing clothes. Not really the same clothes all the time either. I don't see her in the same shirt every TikTok or whatever. So she's clearly changing her clothes. But she has this like thing where she thinks that fashionable clothes and trendy clothes are the basic right, which is not how that works. It's more like a basic t-shirt and a basic pair of pants are basic rights. So you can't see it, but I'm doing air quotes. Oh my gosh, and you can be fired as well. I can't even believe it. So can everyone else, girl. Like, not to be rude, but if you can't work efficiently, then most places will fire you. You can get fired just like everyone else can. It's again just basic economics. If you're not doing the work, you're not going to get paid. Like, I have heard her say before that fat people make less than thin people because thin people can do more work. It's literally why. They can move better and faster. It's not unthinkable that a larger person wouldn't be the go-getter trying to climb the corporate ladder. So they stay at the bottom mostly, which means they get paid less than their thin counterparts. You get worse healthcare because you are a liability just being that size. Larger people do receive worse care, and I'm sure of that. There are doctors that do write off and dismiss real problems because of their weight. But on the other hand, what are you expecting them to do? If you need an MRI or something, you don't fit. You can't get an MRI. They can't be a doctor to you at a certain size, I don't think. Most doctors don't have any other choice but to tell you to just lose weight. So I'm not sure what they're supposed to do. If you personally can't fit, you are your responsibility. If you can't fit into the equipment, then yeah, you don't get the kind of medical care that you should. And the girl that posted the original video of her and her friends, she was, I assume, receiving a lot of hate from Mighty Murph's community or whatever because she ended up making a response video to all of this.
So apparently me wanting a 3XL sweatshirt from Old Navy is controversial. Guys, I didn't even buy the sweatshirt. They didn't have a 3X, but you would literally think that I went and stole every oversized hoodie in America. Like, yes, I do own 3X sweatshirts. This one, this is a 3X. Does it not look cute as a 3X? If I would have gotten a small, it would have fit like this. I swear I'm not trying to rob the plus size section. So no, I didn't get a 3X sweatshirt, but next time I will, because guess what? My hard-earned money, I will go buy it because I want it. Anyways,
I love that response. No notes for that. This girl can buy whatever she wants to buy. The sweater wouldn't have fit Mighty Merv anyway, I'm guessing. And if you know women's sizes, then you know that every brand is different. A 3X in one brand is a large in another brand. It just doesn't really matter. Anyways, Mighty Murph Fash took an innocent video where these two girls didn't even buy anything. They wanted a 3X, Old Navy was out, they left. Who do you think bought out the 3Xs? It wasn't these two skinny girls because they didn't get one. Maybe the other 3X people got them first. And you're throwing a fit over a skinny girl wanting to buy a 3X shirt. Like, you're just jealous, and it's very telling. It's so weird, too, that if the shirt was bought by a larger person that wears maybe like a 1X and they bought a 3X, that would be women supporting other women. But the skinny girls do it, and they just hate fat people and are ruining the plus size market somehow. Like, Old Navy makes you give them your measurements or something before you can purchase, so they know if your skinny girl bought the 3X or not. because if it was a skinny girl, then we can't restock this size that obviously sells very well because fat people might get it and we hate them. Is that right? Is that what she's trying to say? I don't really know anymore. So I obviously disagree with Mighty Murph on this subject, but what do you guys think about all this? Let me know down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.
Alright girlies, I was able to get my hands on the viral and somewhat controversial fleece turtleneck from Old Navy. This thing is so freaking cute. So, should definitely get it. So cozy.